Shalom, shalom, family. Congregation Beit D.C.B presents a day of praise to the Most High. When? May 25th, 2019, Memorial Day weekend. Come join us at our third annual Unity Shabbat, which is named Kum, We Must Rise. We're at underneath the big tent at Restoration Plaza, located at 1368 Fulton Street, Brooklyn, New York. Come and join us and meet brothers and sisters from different states and from all over the world. Specially invited guests will be in attendance to bring a message of peace, love, and unity to the entire community. Our spirits will be in high praise to the Creator of heaven and earth. You won't want to miss this special event. Book your flights now so that you could be in there to partake of all of the praise and good times. Once again, Congregation Beit D.C.B invites you to our third annual Unity Shabbat Kum, We Must Rise. We're at under the big tent at Restoration Plaza, located at 1368 Fulton Street, Brooklyn, New York. It's going to be an unforgettable weekend, as we will also have our Night of Elegance on May 26, 2019, at the Africa House, also located in Brooklyn, New York. For more info, please contact us at 347-622-9090 or go to our website, www.baitdcb.org. or email us at info@baitdcb.org. Thank you, and I hope to see you all there. Shalom, shalom.
By the rivers of Babylon, yeah, we sat down and we cried when we remembered Jerusalem. We were sick, Lord, near to dying. Yeah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yehovah, thank you for bringing us to another Shabbat day. Thank you for allowing us to see another day, another week, another month, another year. You know, thank you for allowing me to see another cycle around the sun. Thank you for the people that have been around me from day one, the people that are not here today, the people that are here today, the people that are in the streets struggling to survive. Thank you for all the blessings that you bestow upon me every day, whether it's so conspicuous or not so obvious. Thank you for everything that you've provided me with, that you provided us all with. Be with the downtrodden, be with the people who are in poverty, be with the people that are struggling to make $1 to find a meal. And thank you for everything that you've provided us with, even the small things that we don't see as blessings, that we don't see as big because we're so used to it. Thank you for everything that you provide us with on a daily basis. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom L'Kol. Erev Tov L'Kol. Giving thanks to the Most High God, the God of our forefathers, Abraham, Yisrael, and Yisrael, for allowing us to see, like you said, another Shabbat day. We thank him for all the things that we have. We thank him for the things that we don't have. We thank him for the food, for the clothing, for the shelter. We thank him for providing for us when we didn't know where that next dollar was coming from. We didn't know how we paid the rent. We didn't know how we paid our bills, but we did it because the Most High always provides a way for us because he loves us. And we ask the Most High God to continue to show forth that love, that compassion, that mercy, because we live in mercy. And we want to continue to live in his mercy. We don't want that to run out. But like you said, you have to put something in the, got to put something in the bank. You know, you have to deposit something in the bank of the Most High God. So when you go to take a withdrawal, he says, oh, that's my servant. Let me look out for them. So we have to do our part. Let us sing the song for the opening of this service. The song of thy wondrous works will tell. The heavens declaring the glory is thine, the earth and its beauty shows honor divine. Our Yah, the creator of everything, to thee we lift up our voices and we'll sing of the might of the God of our God. Yeftahk, the God of Israel, he make it and come of thy wondrous works we'll tell, and when we do falter, we'll cry unto thee, for lo, when thy mercy will thou sendest thine angel to show us the way. To thee we send out our praises when we pray. Sing of the might of God, God of our God. It's the God, the God of Israel. He make it light, oh, and calm of thy wondrous works we'll tell. Sing of the might, the God of Abraham. It's God, the God of Israel. He make it We're gonna praise Yahweh. We're gonna praise Yahweh. We're gonna praise Yahweh. We're gonna praise Yahweh. We're gonna praise. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Shema Yisrael Yahuwah Eloheinu Le'echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Malchutole leolam waed leolam waed Shema Yisrael Yahuwah Eloheinu Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa, Hayapa, Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa Elohim, Hayapa, Hayapa, Hayapa Elohim, Yahuwah, Hallelujah, Yahuwah, Hallelujah, Yahuwah, Hallelujah, Yahuwah, Hallelujah. Hayafa Elohim, Hayafa Elohim, Hayafa, Hayafa, Hayafa Elohim, Hayafa Elohim, Hayafa Elohim, Hayafa, Hayafa, Hayafa Elohim. Yahovah, hallelujah, Yahovah, hallelujah, Yahovah, hallelujah, Yahovah, hallelujah. Yivarech Aleinu, Yivarech Aleinu, Adonai, 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 Adonai. Mi yitenko aleinu, mi yitenko aleinu. Adonai, 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 Adonai. Bring it down, bring it down. Et hakolasa yafe beito lamed haolam natan bilibam mibli asher lo yimza adam et ha'maase asher asa Elohim merosh ve'atzov le'olam wa'ed merosh ve'atzov le'olam wa'ed hodu la'Yahovah ki tov hodu la'Yahovah ki tov ki le'olam hodu la'Yahovah ki tov ki le'olam hodu la'Yahovah ki tov ki le'olam chasido ki le'olam chasido ki le'olam chasido ki le'olam chasido et hakol asav yafe beito nam et haolam natan bilibam mibli asher lo yimza adam et ha'maase asher asa Elohim merosh ve'atzov le'olam wa'ed merosh ve'atzov le'olam wa'ed hodu la'Yahovah ki tov hodu Layahovah Kitov. Hodu Layahovah Kitov Kileolam. Hodu Layahovah Kitov Kileolam Chasido. Kileolam Chasido. Kileolam Chasido. Kileolam Chasido. Shubaya, Shubaya, Melech HaOlam, 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 Melech HaOlam. Hallelujah, 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 Melech HaOlam, 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 Melech HaOlam. Todaya, 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 Melech HaOlam, 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 Melech HaOlam. Kaboya, 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 Melech haolam, 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 Melech haolam. Shubah, Shubaya, Shubaya, Melech haolam, 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 Melech haolam. Hallelujah. You may be seated. I hope and pray that the Most High God has found us acceptable on this day, and that He will bestow blessings upon us, both great and small. The Most High God is good to us. He provides for us all the time, and we have to do our best to not, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess take advantage of the things that the Most High God give us, take for granted. Because waking up every day is a blessing. I asked the Most High God to be with two close friends that I grew up with, my brother Kareem and my brother Sidney, who lost their mother this week. You know, her co-workers were looking for her. She didn't show up to work, and they had someone go to the apartment to find out that she never woke up. You know, so we thank the Most High God for, you know, we always say, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, I'll see you next week. But we ask the Most High God to watch over us as we sleep, as we walk this crazy city, as we drive, as we're going on flights, we get on these airplanes, and it's still, I can't wrap my head around how a piece of metal can stay in the air so long. You always got your prayers up when you're in airplanes, because when you start hitting that turbulence, that's when you go into full prayer mode, 100%. You never said a prayer like that in the air when you start hitting it. Because I can't understand for the life of me where the turbulence, like, we're not on the road, where is the bumps coming from? So, you know, it'll scare you. If that don't scare, you know, the only time I wasn't afraid of turbulence is when I was going to Israel. Because I said, if the Most High God want me to see the land, I'm going to see it. And we had some rough turbulence. I mean, and I was the only one on the plane like, I guess this is the way I'm going out. But I was cool as a fan. But I don't like airplanes at all. So we asked the Most High God to watch over us. Even when we're walking the streets, we walk in the streets, listen, there's so many things that can happen to you. So many things. They say it's 6 million ways to die. Who would ever think that Steve Irwin would get killed by a stingray? You know? Of all the ways to go. You know, so we asked the Most High. Yeah, he played with crocodiles. He was a crazy man. You know? But that's how things are sometimes. Where's Amos? Where he disappeared to? I'm going to call Amos ben Chief Uziel ben Lewi to lead us in the psalm service. The 79th Psalm, 121st, 124th, and 148th Psalm. Amos has been away in school, and I asked Amos, how's it going? How was your first semester? He knocked it out the box. He said A's and B's. And that's what we like to hear.
Yeah, tell him most of your A's, though.
Mostly A's. That's all that matters. Mostly A's. First of all, I'd like to give all honor and due respect to the supreme intellect of the universe, Yehovah Zevaot. Second of all, I'd like to give thanks for the lives of the people that are here today and the people that are not here today. The 79th Psalm of Asaph. O Yehovah, the heathen are coming to thine inheritance. They have defiled thy holy temple. They had made Jerusalem into heaps.
They have given the dead bodies of thy servants to be food unto the fowls of the heavens, the flesh of thy holy ones unto the beasts of the earth.
They have shed their blood like water round about Jerusalem, with none to bury them.
We are become a taunt to our neighbors, a scorn and derision to them that are round about us.
How long, O Yehovah, wilt thou be angry forever? How long will thy jealousy burn like fire?
Pour out thy wrath upon the nations that know thee not, and upon the kingdoms that call not upon thy name.
For they have devoured Jacob and laid waste his habitation. For fathers, let thy compassion speedily come to meet us, for we are brought very low. Help us, O Yehovah, of our salvation for the sake of the glory of thy name, and deliver us and forgive our sins for thy name's sake.
Where is their God?
Let the avenging of thy servants' blood that is shed be made known among the nations in our sight. Let the groaning of the prisoner come before thee. According to the greatness of thy power, set free those that are appointed to death.
And render unto our neighbors sevenfold into their bosom their reproach where they have reproached thee, O Yah.
So we that are thy people and the flock of thy pasture will give thee thanks forever. We will tell of thy praise to all generations. Hallelujah. Psalm 121, right?
Yes.
Psalm 121. I will lift up mine eyes into the mountains, for whence shall my help come?
My help cometh from Yehovah, who made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber.
Behold, he that keepeth Yisrael neither slumber nor sleep.
Yehovah is thy keeper. Yehovah is thy shade upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night.
Yehovah shall keep thee from all evil. He shall keep thy soul.
Yehovah shall guard thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and forever.
Hallelujah. Psalm 124. If it had not been Yehovah who was for us, let Israel now say,
If it had not been Yehovah who was for us, when men rose up against us,
then they had swallowed us up alive when their wrath was kindled against us.
the waters had overwhelmed us, and the streams had gone over our soul.
Then the proud waters had gone over our soul.
Blessed be Yehovah who has not given us as a prey to their teeth.
Our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken and we are escaped.
Our help is in the name of Yehovah, who made heaven and earth.
Hallelujah. Psalm 148. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Praise ye Yehovah from the heavens. Pray him in the heights.
Praise ye all his angels. Praise him all his hosts.
Praise ye him sun and moon. Praise him all ye stars of light.
Praise him ye heavens of heaven, and ye waters that are above the heavens.
Let them praise the name of Yehovah, for he commanded and they were created.
He has also established them forever and ever. He has made a decree which shall not be transgressed.
Praise Yehovah from the earth, ye sea monsters in all deeps.
Fire and hail, snow and vapor.
Get you some confidants. Get you some people who you can actually talk about that with and let it out instead of letting the whole internet and the whole world be your therapy. It doesn't work out like that. Because what ends up happening is, and what people don't want to acknowledge and realize, is that when you start having people chime in on what you and your husband are going through, that makes you and your husband start arguing about the things that's going on. And I'm going to tell you why. Because a lot of married men including myself, have dealt with this issue of everything was fine till you allowed your friends start chiming in on what we're doing, and now all of a sudden you feel differently about it. Not based off of Torah, not based off of right or wrong, just based off of what somebody else was talking about. And guess what? If the relationship breaks, you think that they're gonna come and make things better for you? They're not. And what happens? Who's left to pick up the pieces? The man and the woman, if they can pick up the pieces. And so I talk about this verse in particular when it says every wise woman builds her house, because let me tell you something, sisters. If that's your husband, that's your husband. Keep him in the place that he's supposed to be at all times. Regardless if he makes mistakes, y'all have to learn to work through that. Brothers, the same deal. If your wife is doing something that you don't like, you don't break her down in public. You don't sit down and say, oh, I'm tired of my wife doing this and I'm tired of my wife doing that. What do you think that does for you? What do you think that does for your relationship? And then how do you get past that later when you're trying to stop and say, hey, let's do this and let's be good? And then you know what happens. You come back later and you be like, hey, listen, Moreh, everything good? And I'm like, oh, yeah, everything's great. That's not what I heard. That's just how that goes down. And so guess what? There's going to be problems in life. People are going to have issues. Things are going to happen. But the reality is that discretion is the key to this all. Let your problems be the problems for your household, but always build up your house by keeping a strong unit. It goes on to read.
In the mouth of the foolish is a rod of pride.
Pride.
But the lips of the wise shall preserve them.
Right. That's that discretion again. The pride tells you that you can't apologize. Pride tells you, I don't want to talk to that person. I ain't got nothing to say to him, and he ain't got nothing to say to me. I ain't got nothing to say to her. You know what? She should have thought about that before she said it. That's what we live with, right? But then we come back later, and we say, oh, yeah, you know, sometimes I said something that I didn't mean to say. A lot of times we got to realize that everybody is not at the same level that we are at. And so when you realize that everybody's not at the same level that you're at, accept the fact that sometimes people make mistakes, and just because you wouldn't have made that mistake, that doesn't mean that they can't make that mistake. It reads.
Where no oxen are, the crib is clean.
Right?
But much increases by the strength of an ox.
And so this is about discipline, right? Where no oxen are, the crib is clean. But much increase is by the strength of the ox. You can have the tools, but if you don't use them, it doesn't work. Our very holy scriptures, these words of wisdom that are left on record, if you don't read them and apply them, let me say that again. If you don't read them and apply them, it doesn't work. Because the reality is that you can have all the best things for you, but the thing that is going to make you wise, the thing that is going to make you profitable in life, are the words of the Most High God. And if we don't find profit in serving God, then it's things like this that will actually make us suffer from the things in life that the Most High God tests us with. It goes on to read.
A false witness will not lie. A faithful witness will not lie. But a false witness breatheth forth lies.
So see.
A scorner seeketh wisdom and findeth it not. But knowledge is easy unto him that hath discernment.
Yeah, so let's talk about this scorner. You know, it's amazing how you see people say, I want things to be better for me in my life. And, you know, I'm going to go to this source to see if this is like this, and go to that source to see if this is like that. And I'm going to watch this show. I'm going to read this self-help book. But you sit down and you tell people, you're like, hey, listen, maybe you need to talk to your parents about what you're going through, because they might be able to help you. Oh, no, my mother, she don't know nothing. You know, I try and say this to people about this generation gap that we perpetuate. Nobody knows you better than your parents. Not even you. And I'm going to tell you why. Because your parents remember what they went through at your age. And they actually watch you and see the same mistakes that they made and say, oh, this person is doing it now. And so sometimes it's like what we don't want to hear. Oh, when I was your age, I used to do that. And we stopped and we said, I'm like, no, you didn't do that. Like when you was my age, that was like how many years ago? And so when we look at it, you want to be better, you want to answer to your problem, but you don't want to listen. Because I'm telling you where the answers are at. If we don't look to the ways of old to understand how to move forward, we will remain stuck. And so, you ever see the person that goes to the doctor, but is like, oh, that doctor don't know what he's talking about? We want second, third, fourth, and fifth opinions. And that's okay. But at what point do you stop and say, this person is right? See, we want to be our own judge and jury. We want to be the one that stops and says, yes, I'm right, and yes, I'm wrong. But the reality in all of this is that wisdom, if it was already in you, we wouldn't make the mistakes that we make. So in understanding how to move forward, we stop and we say, there has to be somebody that I rely on that is going to actually tell me truth and has my best interests in mind. That's a true friend. That's a true companion, somebody that you need around. It just talked about the faithful witness, right? The faithful witness will not lie. Girl, what do you think about the other week when I went out on this date with him? I knew he wasn't no good. Everybody warned me that he wasn't no good, but I did it anyway. And what happened? He wasn't no good. I don't know why I keep doing these crazy things. Let me tell you about when I did my craziness. I sit down and I look at these conversations and I'm like, so you're actually going to like glorify this moment. And that's what people do. But a false witness breatheth forth lies. A faithful witness will not lie, but a false witness breatheth forth lies. There's the thing about too. Either you're going to have people that actually tell you the truth and will make you better, or you surround yourself with people who will lie about you, and then at the end, it'll end up being your own destruction. It goes on to read.
7. Go from the presence of a foolish man, for thou wilt not perceive the lips of knowledge. The wisdom of the prudent is to look well to his way, but the folly of fools is deceit.
Tell Steve.
Amends pleadeth for fools, but among the upright there is goodwill.
Now, I want us to talk about this. Go from the presence of a foolish man. I'm going to say this, and I want y'all to take it for what it's worth. You do not have to talk to everybody. Just because somebody wants to talk to you, you do not have to entertain them. It does not, like, I try to tell people this, it's like, just because you come and say, I want to have a conversation with you, that does not automatically obligate me to sit down and listen to you until you get finished. You'll have people stop and they'll tell you, they'll be like, oh, I'm trying to ask you something and you're supposed to be a God-fearing man and you're not going to let me talk to you? Well, the last time you came and wanted to talk to me, you wanted to talk to me about something that was totally dumb. And listen, sometimes I tell people this, and I know I'm talking about discretion, but sometimes you got to call a spade a spade. You're like, I'm not going to have a conversation with you about how you felt you were right to cheat on your boyfriend. I'm not going to talk to you about that, and you're trying to convince me that it's right. That sounds dumb. Yeah, but he deserved it. Okay. So that could agree with a fool and depart, right? Sure. No, but men, and this is the conversation, and this is how it plays out. men do things sometimes that make women want to do that. And that's what men need to understand. I'm not having this conversation. There's somebody else who may want to have this conversation with you. But go from the presence of a foolish man, for thou will not perceive the lips of knowledge. What are we going to attain from this conversation? Because if I sit down and I go, oh, okay, I understand your point, what ends up happening? Somebody goes and they be like, oh, he agrees with me. He said he seen my point. Sometimes men do deserve to be cheated on. And it's foolishness. This is not the wisdom that we deal with. See, a lot of times to understand how to build and grow and to be better, we need to make sure that we surround ourselves by individuals who will make us better. You ever try to have a Shabbat conversation around somebody who doesn't want to have a Shabbat conversation? How does that play itself out? Somebody's going to eventually get upset. Somebody's going to not want to talk about something that's happening. You know, when I was in Philadelphia last week, I heard Rabbi Shalom say this. And he was talking to his son, and he said it, and it was important. He said, the important things in life are the people around you. And he stopped right there. He said, I want you to understand that no matter what you do in life, the people around you is what's important. Those will be the people who will build you up, and those will be the same people who will break you down. When you got stabbed in the back, it was because you allowed somebody to get too close to you that you should have never allowed to get that close to you. And when you make it through your heartache, it's because you surrounded yourself with individuals who promoted you, who stopped and told you how to get through your heartache and told you how to get past the feelings that you were having, and it's okay to move on. And that's why you can do better. And you thank God for people like that. I focus on this because amends pleads for fools. We're our own worst critics. How much longer am I going to keep apologizing to myself for allowing people to do things that hurt my feelings before I decide to do something about it? And so I say the same thing for us. You can't keep slapping yourself on the thigh, hitting yourself in the forehead, and wondering days on end why I keep allowing these things to happen. Eventually, you have to take an action. But among the upright, there is goodwill. I sit down, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but you have to know what makes you happy. You have to know what makes you happy and what doesn't make you happy. Because once you find out what makes you happy, and once you finally discern what doesn't make you happy, that's when you will be able to avoid the problems of your life far quicker than if you stop and you're like, oh, I'm going to give this person a chance. Oh, well, I don't know, I'm going to give this person a chance, and I'm going to give this person a chance. Moreh Mishael taught me very well. He stopped and said, he's like, listen, you don't just give somebody a plate of trust. It's all right. You deserve for people to earn your trust. It is yours. You own it. You have no obligation to give them everything that they want from you. It goes on to read.
10. The heart knoweth its own bitterness, and with its joy no strangers can intermeddle. The house of the wicked shall be overthrown, but the tent of the upright shall flourish. There is that which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death.
People who know it all, People who can't listen to anybody. People always like, oh yeah, that's just what she has to say. That's just what he has to say. My father don't know, my mother don't know, my grandmother don't know, my grandfather don't know, my uncle don't know, my aunt don't know. Well, who knows? Nobody knows except you. But for some reason or another, everybody's trying to talk to you to tell you something for yourself. I was talking to a young lady the other week, and I stopped and I tried to tell her, I'm like, hey, listen. Crying doesn't resolve problems. Let me say that one more time. Crying does not resolve problems. Crying makes you feel better, but you still got to do something after you finish crying. As a person who has cried, and you know, I think that there's this misperception amongst people that if you cry, people will become sympathetic towards you, and then after people become sympathetic towards you, they won't do things that will make you cry anymore. But is that the case? Every wise person will know it doesn't work out like that. You have to understand what you need to do for you, because just because it seems right to you does not make it right. Just because you have people who agree with you and go and do your dirt with you, that doesn't make it right. The ends thereof are the ways of death. I stop and say, you know, Amos, you just turned 19. And your father's doing a wonderful job with you. Think about the type of man you want to be. Think about the type of husband you want to be. And think about the type of wife you want to have. Don't get in the relationship and stop and say, oh, I think I can handle this. Been there, done that, don't work. Don't stop and think that two can walk together and they be disagreed. You can't be on two different pages. I want you to dress modest, and you want to dress not so modest. I want to say a prayer, and you don't think it's important to pray. I'm trying to teach my daughter how to be a lady, and you don't mind her acting like a whore. At one point, something's going to have to give. And so when it talks about the house of the wicked shall be overthrown, how much longer do you think you're going to be able to establish yourself knowing that you know the Most High God and wicked things are going on in your home? How do you think that you can establish yourself and you know that wicked things are going on in the congregation and you refuse to address them? I sit down and I say about this thing about judgment. We want it and hate it at the same time. We want judgment because we want justice for ourselves. But you can't want justice for yourself and see your brother or your sister suffering and not do anything about it. God sees us. It goes on to read.
13. Even in laughter the heart acheth.
Ain't that the truth?
And the end of mirth is heaviness.
Right. You sit down, you like, listen, you can try and laugh it away. You can try and cry it away. You can try and drink it away. Whatever you think you're going to do to make it go away, at the end of it all, when that happens, the problem is sitting there right in your face. How you going to deal with it? It goes on to read.
14. The dissembler in heart shall have his fill from his own ways, and a good man shall be satisfied from himself.
So that's that understanding our own happiness, right? A good man shall be satisfied from himself. Learn to understand how God made you. Learn to understand what makes you happy and do the things that make you happy, and at the same time build your house. It goes on to read.
The dissembler in heart shall have his fill from his own. 15. The thoughtless believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his goings. A wise man feareth and departeth from evil, but the fool behaveth overbearingly and is confident.
False confidence. Nothing's ever going to happen to me. It's all right. The thoughtless believes every word. He said it, so it must be right. You know what? I kind of agree with him too. I think he's right. You know what? She got a point. But all three of them disagree. Who's right? Well, they're all kind of right, right? Do we hear how stupid that sounds? That sounds foolish in every sense of the word. You'd be like, listen, they all can't be right. It's the same way where I hear people talk about, well, listen, don't we all serve the same God? No, we don't. It's been the same argument since the beginning of time. Well, you call him one, and I call him this, and I call him this, but he's the creator of us all. Well, if we're all the same, how come we're all not reading the same book? Yeah, that was a pause because I was like, I'm not going to say that. Because I was going to say something about what brothers do. But I don't want this to be a bashing session. I want us to understand how to walk in the wisdom that God gave us. Because prudence tells us to set a path for our lives. And you know, setting the path for your life, although life may bring things your way, that doesn't mean you still cannot achieve your goal. Sometimes we have setbacks. Sometimes we have stumbling blocks. But the idea is to get past it. That's why it says, and it talks about the prudent man looking well to his going, because that person needs to stop and understand that even though life may have presented certain things to you, you can still get past it. It goes on to read.
17. He that is soon angry dealeth foolishly, and a man of wicked devices is hated. The thoughtless come into possession of folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge.
Okay. He that is soon angry dealeth foolishly. Can we relate to that? Y'all kind of quiet, but I know y'all. You know, we justify why we're angry. I don't usually get like this, but sometimes somebody kind of needs to be cursed out, and it makes me feel better. Is that good? Why would we let people push our buttons? Why would we let people pull our strings? I said this before and I say it again. Sometimes your silence alone can infuriate people. Stop. Somebody want to argue with you and you just walk away. And don't start laughing. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, wait a second, I'm angry right now, and he's over there laughing. I told y'all, listen, took me a while to figure it out, but I knew it. Go argue with yourself. You'll be fine. Because guess what? How often does the argument lead to resolution? The argument. Like, y'all start yelling at each other, and then at the end, you be like, you know what, you're right. And I'm sorry, and y'all shake hands. Or what do y'all do? Y'all hug it out, right? That's what happens? It never happens like that. It never works like that. Give me a second. They gave me a note. Don't be like that. Yes, it did. So I lost my train of thought. Go ahead, continue on.
19. The evil bow before the good, and the wicked at the gates. And the wicked at the gates of the righteous.
Uh-huh.
The poor is hated even of his own neighbor, but the rich have many friends.
Right. Why? Because the rich has gifts, right? If I'm around the rich, I can go get something from him. The poor guy, he's coming to ask me. He wants some of what I have. Nobody really likes somebody who's always asking, right? But we have to be a people that understand that it's okay to give to the poor because the Most High already said the poor will always be around. Now, there's a difference. Just because I have, you do not become my dependent, right? So I can help you, but understand there's a cutoff point to my help. And if I can't help myself, it does not make sense that I'm helping you. You got people who twist scriptures and expect you to pay their rent, pay their mortgage, pay their child support. I'm telling you, I had a guy hit me up on my inbox on Facebook. Listen, I need to pay my child support. I didn't respond to him. But I promise you, I felt like saying, I got my own child support issues, bro. Welcome to the club. That's what I felt like saying. But the reality is that when you can help, help if you can. But there's some people who are poor due to their own decisions in life. There are some people that actually can do for themselves, but refuse to do for themselves. That's the fool. The fool stops and says, oh, I don't want to cook dinner. I'm going to hang out all day. And so I know Zamal's our car. They always eat dinner in their house. I'm going to knock on his door around 7:30 when they're eating dinner. I don't want a whole plate, Doc. I just want a saucer. What fools do. Don't y'all throw out food? I know y'all got leftovers. So you've been watching my whole household and everything that's going on there because now I'm supposed to feed you. I'm supposed to give you a couple of dollars. I'm only asking you for $1. You ever get that one? I'm not asking you for a lot. I'm asking you for $1. You ain't got $1? Obviously, you ain't got $1, or you wouldn't be talking to me about this now, would we? Be going. And so I want us to understand the difference between those who need help. Because guess what? With help comes what? Humility. Be humble. I know when somebody needs help and when somebody's just trying to get over. And I don't have an obligation to you because if I seen you get over on him, and him, and you think that I'm about to let you get over on me because now it's my turn, it's not how it works. That's not how God taught us. God taught us how to be wiser than that. And let me tell you, that's part of the problem when we start arguing amongst ourselves because we don't want to call people out for who and what they do, for who they are and what they do. It goes on to read.
21. He that despiseth his neighbor sinneth, but he that is gracious unto the humble, happy is he.
Come on.
Shall they not go astray that devise evil?
Of course they will.
But mercy and truth shall be for them that devise good.
Right. Your intentions are eventually known. You know what happens with people who have evil intentions? When they're discovered, everything goes left. Then they have the nerve to get upset at you because you call them out for the evil things that they do. But if you have good intentions, when you pray to God, God will eventually show you people for who they are. You just have to believe that in your heart. You know, how often do we pray for good friends and good family? We have this thing, like, I just do not understand it. There's this unspoken code of like, no matter what my family does, that's still my family. A foe, right? Family over everything. Be like, listen, stop it. There's certain people I just don't get down with. Messing with him, messing with her, I'll be caught up in some credit card scam, fighting for my job, trying to explain to the judge how that's not my signature. Oh, but you know what? That's my mother. That needs to be said sometimes so it can resonate with people. I'm not saying give your mother over to the cops, but there's some times where you got to know what to separate yourself from. I don't know nothing about this, and I'm gone. Shall they not go astray that devise evil? How long do you think it's going to be before somebody catches up to you? And then, will the judgment be worth what you're doing right now? It goes on to read.
23. In all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury. The crown of the wise is their riches, but the folly of fools remaineth folly.
Uh-huh.
A true witness delivereth souls, but he that breatheth forth lies is all deceit.
Come on.
In
And
the
fear of
a
Yahweh,
man has strong confidence, and his children shall have a place of refuge.
why is that? Because God realizes, if we remember what God said about Abraham, he said, will he not command his house to do that which is right? Shall I not tell Abraham what I plan to do? For I know he will command his house to do that which is right. That's the refuge. Not that Abraham didn't have problems. Not that he didn't have problems within his own family, including outside of his family. But the reality is that in spite of all of his problems, God was always with him. That's the part that we have to learn to get to. We're looking for this life of utopia. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to have 82 wives. They're all going to sing Kumbaya because they all love me. All my children are going to serve God. And they're all going to live with me, and they're all going to do everything that I do because I said it. And just because I said it, they're going to understand that they need to be faithful children to me because honor your father and your mother, right? And so life will be good. But the reality is that that's not life. The reality is that problems will happen, problems will occur, disagreements will go down, but you ask God to give you the wisdom to reach righteous resolution so that as we build and grow, that once we understand that we can get through our problems, that's somebody who I can be around. That's how we're going to unite, you know. That's how we're going to unify, you know. Because it's going to be, not that I agree with everybody in this room and how they feel about X, Y, and Z, but the reality is that I know this person has my best interest in mind. I know that this person wants to serve the Most High God, and even though we disagree right now, there will be a righteous resolution. In the fear of Yahweh, a man has strong confidence. That's the confidence that we need to have. It goes on to read.
27. The fear of Yahweh is the fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death.
Tosif.
In the multitude of people is the king's glory, but in the want of people is the ruin of the prince. He that is slow to anger is of great understanding, but he that is hasty of spirit exalteth folly.
When you're hasty, you want to do everything right now, automatically, because you think it's right. And you know what? I must be right because I'm the leader. I must be right because, oh wait, here's the better one. I must be right. I'm the vice president. How can I get it wrong? No, exactly. That was funny. He that is slow to anger, don't worry about it. If you're right, it will play itself out. I sit down, and this is something that I've been teaching myself about more and more lately. Just sit back and watch it happen. Some people sometimes need to just see it for themselves. And guess what? If it doesn't happen, then guess who's wrong? You. And then you need to humble yourself and admit that you was wrong and get on board with the ship. When you don't have humility, You can't do that. You know, it's important for somebody to like you, you know. I hear people talk about it, be like, listen, you know, I ain't got that many friends. Really? Why don't you have friends? I can understand, I'm not talking about the popularity contest. I'm not talking about saying shalom, hello to everybody you know on the street. I'm talking about why don't you have people that's within your circle that are people of good character? You know what that builds for you? 2 words, support system. And everybody needs it. Everybody has to have it. And if we don't think about the support system that we need, and if we continue to isolate ourselves from people, the better things in life will never come to us. It goes on to read.
30. A tranquil heart is the life of the flesh, but envy is rottenness of the bones.
Tranquil heart, a peaceful heart, calm. We need peace and calm in our life. And just because somebody's trying to take you there, we need to learn to allow people not to take us there. It goes on to read.
He that oppresseth the poor blasphemeth his maker.
'Cause that's
He
wicked.
that is gracious unto the needy honoreth him.
Tosif.
The wicked is thrust down in his misfortune, but the righteous, even when he is brought to death, have hope.
Right, because the wicked person, God is showing him something, and God is showing the rest of the people that's watching him something. The righteous man, we understand that there's a hope for him, because even though everything may have been taken away from him, what does he have left? The Most High God. It goes on to read.
33. In the heart of him that has discernment, wisdom resteth. But in the inward parts of fools, it maketh itself known. Righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people.
Highlight that line. Proverbs 14:34. Righteousness exalts a nation. The very reason why we're in our captivity, the very reason why we suffer from what we suffer from, is because we chose not to serve Yah, and we chose to do things our own way. And so the sin that was a reproach to us put us in the state that we're in now, where we argue about how we should look and what we should look like and how it is to serve God and what the name of God is. How we argue with one another to the point where we even believe there's no profit in living around one another. We believe there's profit in not living around one another. We believe that there's profit in not having a judgment. We even believe that there's better profit in following the laws of the land than following the laws of the Most High God. And so when that happens, we have to understand us not trusting in God with all our heart and with all our soul, that's exactly why God hates us. Finish it out.
The king's favor is toward a servant that dealeth wisely, but his wrath striketh him that dealeth shamefully.
You can say hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hoping and praying that y'all got something out of what I said, and that the Most High God found these words acceptable to be spoken before his people. And at this point, we're going to open up our discussion with the moments that we have left. And so, you know, I know we were talking about it at lunch. And I'm going to say this before we open up the floor and we start talking about the different things that we're going to talk about. It's important for us while we have these discussions to speak with wisdom, to speak with knowledge and from an informed point. And it's also for us to remember that people have opinions about different things. And in us coming back to God, we have to have the discussion about the different things that's happening in the world so that we're all on the same page about what we should be doing. So by now, I think we've all heard that in Alabama, they have actually now passed a law making abortion illegal. And it's illegal now by a felony of up to punishable by giving a felony of up to 99 years in prison for those who are caught doing it. And the only way that it is found acceptable is if the woman her life is threatened by the pregnancy, which obviously at that point, the doctor is making the call and not the woman. And so we do understand from the history of this country that there was Roe versus Wade, and Roe versus Wade stopped and said that a woman has her right to privacy if she decides to terminate her pregnancy, which obviously led to, what do you call that? It amounted to a win for, what do you call that? Women's liberation and things of that nature. And so what we want to stop and do now, what we want to stop and do right now is actually have the discussion about abortion, about how people feel abortion should happen, and whether they feel it should happen or whether they shouldn't, and whether it shouldn't happen. And then at the end of all of this, we will give D.C.B's position on abortion. So with that, I open up the floor. I thought you had something to say. I was like, really, bro? Now, don't y'all be quiet now. Absolutely, Sister Edna.
Being that I thought that none of us around here agreed with having abortions anyway. So, I mean, I know it's a woman's right, and the only way they're not even allowing it if it's incest or rape. So I understand that women's rights are being changed. But I thought that that was just something that we didn't do anyway.
Okay.
So, I mean,
I know. I'm going to address it, but I don't know.
Why, not really why we're discussing it, but why we now have an opinion on it. I thought that was our opinion. Like, we just don't do that.
Okay. So tell me, why don't we believe in abortion? I know the answer. I want to hear from you.
Well,
and I see you, Sister Darisha.
I mean, I just personally, it's something that I've never done. I never even considered it.
I'm not asking you I'm sorry. I'm not asking your personal opinion.
You're asking me what?
Torah perspective.
Oh, the Torah perspective.
Why don't?
Because it's against law. It's against law. It's for
So are you saying it's against law because it's murder?
yes, because it's
Okay.
murder.
Okay. I want to get that out there. Don't forget, we're not the only ones listening. So.
Okay, I understand that, but I just thought that, we are a group of Israelites, and that's what we believe. I never even thought that we would consider that was something, that's okay, or
Okay.
that we
Okay.
would be concerned about, really.
Okay.
I just,
So. Sure.
just wanted to
And I realize that I asked you a question as we have this mic going around, and I'm going to answer this to you. And unfortunately, you're the next person, but we're going to try to keep our comments to 2 minutes so that we can get everybody in and listen to what different people have to say. So what I'm going to say is, before we get to Sister Darisha, everybody does not necessarily feel like that, because there are some instances of rape in which a woman becomes pregnant. And not every instance of incest is necessarily a rape. So, hold on, just hear me for a second. It's crazy to you, but don't forget what's going on in the world is not necessarily here. So we have to have the conversation so people understand what they should and shouldn't do, right? And so from a Torah's perspective, incest is wrong, but if there's a child who walks through the door, or an adult who walks through the door, who is the product of incest, then how do you deal with it? Okay.
Well, basically, I was just going to answer what she was saying regarding as to why we don't do it, because of law.
Right.
Now, getting back to the doctor saying it's okay to have the abortion because it's a risk either for the mother or the child, or it's a dangerous pregnancy, would that still be considered a form of murder due to the fact that you let nature or let God take control of what's going to happen. Because the doctor say, okay, well, there's a 65% chance that this baby will not be successful, or it's a chance that she will lose the baby by the time she's 6 or 7 months, so it's best to just get rid of it, or your pressure may go high or whatever, and you decide to do it. That's still playing God.
Not necessarily. So, if they're giving you percentages,
Right.
some people may take the position to say, God is giving you information in order for you to make an informed decision. Now, if you take information and you do what you want to do with it, but the reality is that you sit down, and if the doctor tells you there's a stillborn child in your womb, you don't. No, I'm just giving an example. You don't stop and go, well, I'm going to wait until month 9 and see how this goes down, right? We have technology and we have information before us that allows us to know what's happening. So, there are different instances, and I understand that's one circumstance of what's happening. You got to deal with the information that's before you. To answer your question, is it playing God? I don't want to jump subjects, but there's people who are on life support, and the doctor's telling you this person is not going to recover. And you can't put a dollar sign on a person's life, but after a point, they're like, listen, this is just going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars if we try to do this. And I'm telling you, once the electricity go off, once the plug is pulled, that's it. And then we have to make a decision. So my answer to you is, it's not necessarily playing God. Mordecai?
No, I'm just
Okay. Oh. Forgot.
I needed you last week.
So we're going to have Sister Rhonda, then Sister Shavanya.
Well, I think of it as because we all know the law. We all know that this is not something that we believe in. But I'm thinking of it as and we just kind of expand our mind just a little bit and just think that maybe this is about something else. I can't, for the life of me, I can't see why those 25 white men in Alabama want to see the numbers of African Americans, our statistics go up. To me, it just seems like here's another example of we as black women are going to be exploited, because it seems like if you look at the statistics, and I wish I had them on me, but that we do have abortions at alarming rates that are, and we are killing killing off our people. So I just think that they're gonna try to criminalize this for us as a people, like they did the war on drugs, and then the black men were criminalized. I believe that black women, we need to look at this as a fight that we just can't automatically jump in with white women, and we really need to just think about how we're going to be affected by this. Another thing is, okay, now you can't have an abortion. We all agree. We know collectively as a temple that that's not right. But they're also taking away your food stamps. They're also taking away ways that you can't even support these children. So what does that turn the father or the mother to? I don't know. But I just think that that this is more about abortion. And I also think that we also need to, as black women, we also need to just not always jump on the coattails of white women when they're jumping around and getting being hysterical about this, and we need to just think about it.
Okay. Sister Shavanya is next. Then I'll have you afterwards. Give it to Tal. So I'm going to say this. There's a thing that we need to stop and understand first. And at one point, we have to ask ourselves, at what rate are unwanted pregnancies happening that people are deciding to terminate them, and why are they deciding to terminate their pregnancy? Now, I think collectively we can most of the time, when a woman is pregnant, it's supposed to be a joyous occasion. So now, why are we actually having to put ourselves in a position to say, oh, listen, I need to have an abortion? If rape is rampant and that's why we have to keep getting abortions, then the issue of rape needs to be addressed. How come these rapes keep happening, that these women keep coming forth saying they need an abortion? Same thing with incest. If that type of thing is happening, and it's not fair to just say incest to speak to what you were speaking about, Sister Edna, but sometimes there's that molestation that's going on, which is the greater issue. And so when that molestation is going on, why are we not thinking to attack that issue as opposed to, in my opinion, the Band-Aid of abortion to stop and say, okay, now terminate this child? Sister Shavanya.
Shalom.
Shalom.
I was asking more like in the rape cases, like, okay, the woman get raped and she becomes pregnant. And it's sort of a question, why it's okay for she to, if it's okay for she to abort it? I don't agree with that. I think more like, if she get raped, she can give it up for adoption later on. But I'm saying, if y'all allow that soul to grow in her womb, why, if it's okay for her to be part of that child?
Okay, so I'm going to say this. In my opinion, we're not going to put everything on God. Just because the child is growing in the womb does not mean that God wanted it to happen or that he condones it. That means that it happened. And sometimes there's things that we have to do about it. That's why we have a system of judgment. But, it's always the question of, after somebody's been violated, and after a woman has been violated, should she have to live knowing that this is the child of the person who violated her?
Well, like I said, she could give it up for adoption. There's a lot of women that don't, okay, a lot of women that can't have children. That could be an option for her. She don't have to have the baby with her. And if they do the abortion, and that go against that shall not murder,
It's still a life-changing event that you're asking the woman to sit through. And I sit down and I talk about it. It's like, listen, postpartum is real, right? They developed this term for a reason. And so when we deal with things like that, the idea that you're going to give this child up for adoption and that everything will work out does not mean that eventually everything will work out.
I know this is a touchy subject. I don't agree with abortions in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we use that as an example that, is killing a soul and is murdering a soul or whatever, if a woman commits adultery, right, and her husband has the spirit of jealousy, but in that adultery, right, that woman did, I'm going to give two scenarios. In that adultery, that woman becomes pregnant. And let's say in the 4th month, 5th month, the husband gets a spirit of jealousy, brings her up to the judges. Whatever, however you do it. Catches them, she becomes pregnant, the husband thinking that that's his child, but it's really the guy who she was committing adultery with. So now, he has the spirit of jealousy, goes up to the judges, hey, I believe my wife is committing adultery. Get the dust from the ground, drink it, and then it says, if she be found, right, to have committed adultery or to win aside, what happens to her?
Belly rot.
So would something die in that? Would something die?
Yeah, some people die.
The next scenario is he catches you know, he gets it or catch her in the act while she's pregnant with another man, and she's put to death. The Lord doesn't specify and say you wait for that child to be born or for anything to happen like that. It's just you do what you got to do. When Judah first saw Tamar, he said, kill her. She was with child. Oh, my bad.
Finish your thought, though. Hold on. Finish that thought.
That's my thought.
So with Judah and Tamar, that's his first thing. He wasn't like, oh, she's with child. Let's wait until this child is born and then kill her. To his point, he said, just kill her.
So, so when to use that and to say that is you really can't say that a child in the womb is not killed. You know what I'm saying? You can't. This is a sensitive subject, and you have to take the woman's feelings into account, and you have to take the husband's feelings into account.
Correct.
You know, so that's not just an open and shut case as to how we explain these things. Because if my daughter get raped, or my wife get raped, you have to ask me what I feel about that. You know what I mean? Because I might not be comfortable with that. I might not be comfortable with that, and that's just being honest.
All right.
You know what I mean? So.
And that's always an important conversation to have because, you know, I speak about the narrative that's out there. You'll have people out say, regardless of what her husband feels, whatever she wants to do, that's what's going to happen.
Well, praises to the Most High God.
Man.
I think when you look at I think the problem is a lot of people look at abortion from the point where people who are using it as a form of birth control. And so a lot of people see that, and there's a lot of issues with that. But when you look at that law that's being put in place, it's going to affect the people who are victims of rape and incest. When they talk about rape in the Tanakh, the person who is the rapist, they are killed. And I think that when you look at that and see the punishment for rape, I think it's very important to realize that the woman doesn't get the stigma, and I think it should be up to her to make that decision about the baby. And also, like in today's time, when you look at it, the prenatal care, like when you go to the OBGYN and everything for the process, it's very expensive, and a lot of people, especially if they're poor, they can't afford to do that. And obviously, if someone can't afford diapers, they're not going to be able to afford that medical care, and that should not be placed on them. And also with the adoption, there's so many children who are in the adoption system right now. So to just continue to put more children in and create more broken children, because that is some stuff for the children who are in it is very messed up. And a lot of them are suffering in those situations. So I think you can't really just say that that's the option for people, especially when you're not willing to deal with the consequences that follow it.
Sister Dorisha.
Agreeing with the sister, yes, they are using it as a form of birth control. And when you say about affordability, I'm just going to say it. Condoms are cheap, and basically what you need to do is preventive measures, so that way you're not placed in that situation of having an abortion. I'm not talking about rape. I'm talking about two people going, and they end up pregnant. Then what end up happening? The baby have to suffer for their mistake. So what you have to do, preventive measures so that does not happen. And being that we in this way of life, we need to talk to our young boys. We need to talk to our young daughters. You ain't got to be doing that anyway. But let's be real. For those when it do happen, make sure you keep yourself wrapped up, preventive, things like that, so you are not put in that situation to where you have to say, well, let me use abortion as a form of birth control so nobody will know, type of thing. So that's something you have to handle beforehand.
Hands went up on this one. Sister Rhonda, then Sister Tasania again. Oh, you had your hand up?
Something to say about rape aspect of it.
Okay.
I was not something that I generally say. And in college, I was raised, and I'm not that loud? No. Okay, in college, I was a victim of rape, and I became pregnant. I had no intention of being some 20-something-year-old carrying some invasive, mean, spiteful, evil person's child in my body and housing that child until it was born and possibly looking at this child one day and hate the child for something that it didn't have any control over. Okay? People do that. Women get stuck having babies and forced to have babies for different situations, rape included. And those kids are abused. Those kids are abused. And as far as what I did here, I had an abortion, and you know what? It wasn't a great experience. Because coming from a religious family, my great-grandfather was with us. You know they teach you in Islam that the soul of those children torture you when you die. So, whether that's true, whether it's not true, I don't know. But when I get to that, wherever I'm going, I guess I'll find out. But,
Sister,
I think it's unfair to ask someone to carry a child with someone who violated them on the off chance that this person, this rapist, doesn't sue them for custody or visitation, right? Because it happens. Or
okay, understood.
So I just want to get back to what Tis was saying, because we collectively, like I said before, we all know what's right and what's wrong when it comes to this subject. We just need to really expand it and see exactly what's, because I mean, can we all agree that this is bigger than what we're talking about?
Yeah.
That what they're doing now is bigger than what we're speaking about. I'm just not understanding why we aren't thinking that in some way they're going to use this to criminalize black women. And I do think that's one of the things that we should be talking about. We talk about not, that we should be voting. These are the things that we should be talking about to the people that are representing us. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be the poor that's gonna be the 99 years in jail. It's gonna be the black. It's gonna be the brown. It's not gonna be white people that's gonna be a part of this. I just think that this is bigger than what we're speaking about.
Okay, I'm going to say this before I get the next comment, and we're going to wrap this up pretty soon because it's about that time. God is in control of all things. I want y'all to understand this. And so they can think to do whatever they want to do. We have to be prepared on how to deal with it. And no matter what we do, it cannot compromise our position with the Most High. Now, well, I agree that they have a greater agenda, that the Republicans actually have a greater agenda at hand. Absolutely. When you had something that was a constitutional thing and that it invokes, I think, people's 14th Amendment right, and then now that is being changed, I think that has a trickle-down effect and other things that have been put in place that they also want to change, and opens the door for different conversations to happen according to the opinions of society. Do I agree with that? Yes. However, before we start digging deeper than the surface value of what's happening, it's our job as a congregation to make sure people understand why they do what they do. And so the reality is that what she's talking about, illegal abortions that go on, that now when they find out that there's young black girls having illegal abortions, that they will put them in jail, and that they find out these different things are going on. And then with these little girls in jail and us trampling down the doors of the penal system because they keep criminalizing us, how are we going to handle that? Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. I had the option to sell drugs when I was a child. I had the option to shoot guns and all the other stuff. And trust me, I grew up in Crown Heights. I went to school in Bed-Stuy, and I was in the heat of it all. And my mother taught me how to make better decisions. And so I'm not going to allow us to stop our duty as parents and as a village to teach people about making better decisions as children and teenagers, to speak to your point of, oh, now I made a mistake, how am I going to cover it up? Some people, and I'm not talking about the instance of rape, I'm talking about when you're just out there doing what you do. For that, sometimes you gotta live with the decision that you make. And there's nothing wrong with that. And the idea that you allow somebody to put into your head that you're going to take a hanger and destroy your insides as a means to get past of letting my father or my mother find out what I did or I can't handle another child is unacceptable. Those things are not acceptable. However, when you have instances of molestation and rape, that conversation needs to be had. I agree with that. And so these are points of trauma that at the end of the day, people have to live with, and we are going to be sensitive to our women about that. But we're not going to convolute the two issues. There's a responsibility that we have to ourselves to build families, not to just have things happening out there and to figure out how to clean it up. So I'm going to take the last comment because of the time. Is it time? Two? Tasani and who? Sister Edna? And then that's it.
I was just going to say, going back to making a good decision, I feel like because certain conversations aren't had among the young, to the young people, that's when you have these bad things happening. Because not only is it, older people have done what they've done, and I think the assumption is like, oh, I don't want to have this conversation and put the idea in their head. But at the end of the day, almost all of us go to public school, so we're exposed, and we have access to the internet, and what happens is we're going to be exposed to it anyway. So at least being informed by people who care about us is going to be important, because they're going to tell us that rather than, oh, don't do it or you're going to face this punishment, these are the type of things that come about with it happening. And also, it goes back to not specifically with rape, but when you have older people who prey on younger girls and have those type of things happen because they convince the girl, oh, you should do this because, it's going to show that I love you or something like that. When you have issues like that, it's important to focus on when you know that there's a predator in Israel. Stuff like that needs to be addressed, because that's where you also have issues like that. It's not just young people in the same age group. There are older people who are seducing younger girls, and then you have another situation. And even going back with the contraceptive, people are going to do what they're going to do, and that's not 100% effective. So I think rather than just having people sneak around and trying to do that, it's important to have these conversations, because at the end of the day, people are going to do what they want, and at least let people be informed so they make the right decisions.
Excellent point. Sister Edna, the last comment.
We got a lot to talk about. No, I mean, as a community.
As a community. And that's important.
And the last thing that I want to say is that I don't agree that they're going to give people time. I thought I actually saw that it was the doctors they were giving 99 years to, not the women. And also, I think that if you sit up 5 months before you go, because it was 5 months you can have an abortion, right? So I think if you sit up 5 months before you go see about yourself, you need a baby. They shouldn't allow you to do that. 5 months, that baby is not only a heartbeat, but it's moving, it's kicking, you feeling elbows and everything else. Why you sit up and wait so long?
So, for those who don't know, to speak to Sister, wait, hold on. We're done. We can't keep going. So to speak to Sister Edna's point, there are certain states where abortion was illegal, and it becomes illegal if she's already reached the second trimester and the baby is allowed to breathe on its own. If they can bring the baby out and the baby can live without being connected to the mother, then it was considered murder in certain states. However, this is obviously a conversation that needs more development, that we need to continue to talk about. What we're going to try to do moving forward, from the suggestion of Samal Zarkar Ben Dahn, is that after Unity Weekend, during our breaks, we're going to try and have some subjects for us to sit down and discuss and talk about collectively. We would hope everybody will want to be involved and continue to build, because we want to build and grow as a community and make sure we're all on the same page. Hoping and praying that you got something out of what I said, and the Most High God found these words acceptable to be spoken before his people. Multi Shabbat Shalom Lakem.
Hallelujah. Thanking the Most High God for this day. And I think it's also important for our youth to understand that sex is not a sport, and that it's not something that you do because it's a feeling of what you like and what you want to do. And as young men, when you violate somebody's daughter, somebody could violate your sister. And you have to understand those things. And you should wait. And it's our responsibilities as leaders of this congregation to teach that our children, right, should wait until they have their partner, their wife, and vice versa. The girls should wait until they have their husbands. That is the correct way to do it. And as leaders of the congregation, that's what we're supposed to tell you, and that's what we hope that you would do. All right? You can't take on adult responsibilities and then your mother and your father are taking care of your child, and you can't even pay to take care of the child. So these are things that you have to think about, and these are the consequences, because every parent is not going to take your child in. Some parents are hard luck parents and going to tell you, go out there, get out of my house, and deal with what you got to deal with. So these are the things that we have to understand, and these are the things that you have to know, because it's not something that once you get that thrill, it's a thrill, but then what? What comes behind that? Responsibility. So for those of people who have had children at a young age, they could tell you. They could tell you the responsibility that comes with it, and you don't want to find yourself in that. So at this time, we're going to proceed with the blessing that the Most High God gave unto Moshe to give unto our Harun and his sons to bless the children of Yisrael, hoping and praying that on the conclusion of this day, that the Most High God will look down upon each and every one of us and grant us a blessing. Wa daber Yehovah el Moshe lemor, daber el Harun we el Benah lemor, ko tevarku e bnei Yisrael amor lahem. And Yehovah spoke unto Moshe, saying, speak unto Aharon and unto his son, saying, on this wise ye shall bless the children of Yisrael. Ye shall say unto them, Yivareka Yehovah Yishmereka, Yair Yehovah Panawaleka Wikuneka, Yisai Yehovah Panawaleka Wayasem Laka Shalom. May Yehovah bless thee and keep thee. May Yehovah make his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. May Yehovah lift up his countenance upon thee, and may he grant thee peace. Hallelujah. You may be seated for announcements. You was ready? My bad. Next week. First announcement to everyone online that would like to donate. You can make your donations out to 382 to D.C.B, 382 Hamilton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11231. D.C.B, 382 Hamilton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11231. Also, you could donate to us on our website, www.baitdcb.org, the button that says donation. Also, you could donate on PayPal. info@baitdcb.org, info@baitdcb.org. Also, you could donate on Cash App. What is it? Money sign? What's the Cash App? The $? Bait DCB? The phone number is 347-622-9090. That's for Cash App. I haven't mastered the Cash App lingo yet, but the phone number is 347-622-9090 for Cash App, for those of you that would like to donate through Cash App. Are there any? Oh, next week, everybody knows, we're going to be at Restoration Plaza. The services start at 11, but being that we are part of the congregation, we need to be there, especially security know what time they have to be there. I'm sure Chief Okwana, oh, Chief, there's a check from Gabriel Cascuya. So, but those of us who are part of welcoming committee, those of you who are cooking or bringing anything, you have to be there early, at least an hour before the start of the event. And we expect all men to be there at least an hour. I don't know what time the Shomrim has to be there. Okay, so everybody else should be there at least an hour before time, because there are things to set up and things to help to make everything go. And me myself personally, I'm going to try to be there at 9 or 9:30, because all this equipment and all this stuff has to go. The next thing, brothers, we are going to have drums there. Some of us need to grab some drums and take it with us and keep it with us till next week and bring it there, because I'm not taking all these drums by myself and all this equipment by myself. So we know that drumming is a part of our service, so whoever could grab a drum or two need to grab these drums, break them down, take them, don't leave them in your car, bring them inside your house till next week. All right? So we hope that the web, www.baitdcb.org. You could just press the donation button there. We also have patches, $5 each. Patches that coordinate with the colors that we're having. These are new patches. They have gold in them. So grab your patch so you can put in on your garment. All right? Do we have any other announcements? Anything else? Anything that we need to know before next week? Anything? Any question? We got you. We got you. I know that's my son. I know it's his birthday. Anything? No questions? Everybody knows what they're doing? Who? Yerusha? Where's Yerusha at? Oh, it's his birthday? Okay. So, here we go. I don't know where Amos at, so we don't sing for him if he ain't in here. Where you at, Amos? Elimelech also? You ready? There go Amos. Come on. He's going to dance with his sister. Yom Huledet Sameach, 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 Yom Huledet Sameach. May the Most High bless you with many more, son. Any other announcements? Everybody's ready to run out of here, I know. So don't forget, let's have a great time next week. Let's not forget the hospitality of Abraham next week, as we will have people coming from all over the country to join us. So please, let's be hospitable and remember that there are people that, if there are people that we don't know, we should greet them. We should be nice and make them feel comfortable. Amen? Hallelujah. Donations and obligations. See Chief Okwana commercial. Shalom, shalom, family. Congregation D.C.B presents a day of praise to the Most High. When? May 25th, 2019. Memorial Day weekend. Come join us at our third annual Unity Shabbat, which is named Kum, We Must Rise. We're at underneath the big tent at Restoration Plaza, located at 1368 Fulton Street, Brooklyn, New York. Come and join us and meet brothers and sisters from different states and from all over the world. Specially invited guests will be in attendance to bring a message of peace, love, and unity to the entire community. Our spirits will be in high praise to the creator of heaven and earth. You won't want to miss this special event. Book your flights now so that you could be in there to partake of all of the praise and good times. Once again, Congregation Beit D.C.B. invites you to our 3rd annual Unity Shabbat Kum. We must rise. We're at under the Big Tent at Restoration Plaza, located at 1368 Fulton Street, Brooklyn, New York. It's going to be an unforgettable weekend, as we will also have our Night of Elegance on May 26, 2019, at the Africa House, also located in Brooklyn, New York. For more info, please contact us at 347-622-9090 or go to our website, www.baitdcb.org, or email us at info@baitdcb.org. Thank you, and I hope to see you all there. Shalom, shalom.